video. Today we're doing another how I budget my paycheck video where I go through and break down how I'm budgeting my paycheck and where all my money is going. So basically the whole reason that I do this and got into making these kinds of videos is because I wanted to start taking my finances more seriously in like my mid to late 20s. I just really wanted to focus on getting out of debt, figuring out like how to be smart with my money, what to do with my money, and not waste my money basically. I did also recently post a video on 10 money habits that I've learned in my 20s, so I will link that if you want to check that video out. Basically in my like early 20s, I kind of was a little bit crazy with my credit card, and we got ourselves in a little bit of a situation with credit card debt, which I do think happens to a lot of people. The whole thing is I really just want to get out of debt and focus on being smart with my money, figuring out what to do, where to make my money work the best for me. And I feel like this paycheck breakdown is a good example of why you don't want to be in debt, because you'll see, we'll get into it. This paycheck breakdown is for the paycheck that I got on July 26th. What I do is use that paycheck to budget for the next 2 weeks. So whatever expenses and other things that come up between the 26th and the 8th. My income for this pay period was $2,315, and I do work hourly, so it does vary just slightly. I usually know around where I'm gonna be. I did get, I think maybe like a half an hour of overtime during this pay period, so it does vary again, just slightly. And then I had $68 left in my checking account from last pay period, which is actually pretty good, better than what I normally have left over, so I was not upset with that. Kind of the mindset was whatever I have left over from my previous pay period, I will use that towards debt as well. So that's how that kind of worked out for me. But yeah, so I usually add those together, and then that's kind of the top number that I use to figure out the rest of my budget. So let's get into my expenses. As usual, we start off with my rent because that is a fixed expense. Obviously, I have to pay that every single month. I budgeted $450 out of this paycheck, and this is my second paycheck in July. So my first one I saved $400, this one I saved $450, and this is for August 1st rent. Total is $850, and that's how I split it up, and I have paid the rent for August. Also, yes, our rent is only $850, which I know is crazy, but we live in an area where that is, I mean, that's still low, but it is not unheard of. So we're very grateful for that. Next, I put $100 into my personal savings account, and that is for my emergency fund. I think I mentioned this in a previous video, but I did get in like an accident earlier in June. I hit a deer. Honestly, the deer hit me, to be fair, but because of that I had to get my car fixed, and I had a deductible, so I had to use $1,000 from my emergency fund. So we are trying to slowly build that back up, just so that I'm feeling a little bit better about having money just in case of emergencies, exactly what it's for, you know what I mean? So I am trying to build that back up, but at the moment, I can only put about $100 away every single paycheck, so that's what I've been doing. And then into our joint savings account, I put $100, and that is our house fund. That is an exciting account because we're actually on track to like having a decent down payment by next year, maybe in the springtime. So we are kind of focusing on putting a lot of money into that account that we can. We both get, well, I won't get bonuses forever, but I did get a sign-on bonus from my work that I've been putting money into that account, and then he gets quarterly bonuses from his work. So any extra kind of large lump sums that we can put into there, we will. And again, I feel like I say this a lot, but I do think it's okay to save money for important things, especially like a down payment on a house, while you're also trying to pay off debt. As long as you have like a clear plan, I think that that's totally fine, and there's no need to like stress yourself out about anything, because when I look ahead and I have I've budgeted out like the rest of the year. I will have my credit cards paid off by, I think, my first paycheck in November, which, yeah, seems like kind of a long time from now, but it's on a 0% interest card, so I'm not paying any interest on it. So I will have my debt paid off by November. Obviously, yeah, like maybe if I wasn't putting $100 into this joint account, I could have it paid off like one paycheck earlier. But to me, that's like pointless, you know what I mean? So I might as well just be putting money into this high-yield savings account that we're using for our house fund that's getting us interest while it sits there. So again, I'm no expert. I'm just a girl who talks about money, so don't take my advice on any of this stuff, but just know that whatever you do, there's no right or wrong, and whatever you want to do with your money is totally valid. Just know that. Then the next thing is I put $50 into my Roth IRA. This is just something that I've kind of gotten the habit of doing because it's like a secondary retirement account, and this money is always going to be mine, and it's post-tax money, so this account will just grow. You invest that money into the stock market, and hopefully, I mean, it should just grow as you get older, and the earlier you invest in this account, the better. Again, that's just something I've gotten in the habit of doing. I would like to put more into there, but it's tough with the cost of living nowadays. Then I put $125 into our joint grocery account that we have. We recently did that and it's been working great for us. We did have to increase that a little bit lately just because it was getting tight. Like we were trying to only spend $100 a week on groceries, and that was just getting a little bit tight for us. So we did increase that a little, but we also use that account for like household items, so it kind of makes sense that it is a little bit higher. And now sometimes we use that to buy cat litter too, so I don't know, it makes sense. And I would rather spend just a little bit more on food and like cut out other places, you know, because you have to eat, so that is okay with me. Then also during the next 2 weeks, I take a look at any bills, subscriptions, anything like that that's going to be coming out. So during this pay period, our Wi-Fi bill will come out, and that is $51. And then for subscriptions, I actually just went through recently and canceled, I think, 4 subscriptions, and that was crazy. So it saved me $35 a month, which, I mean, I feel like when you look at it that way, it's not like that much, but it really does add up. And then I can use that $35 for literally something else, paying off my debt, whatever I want. And then over the course of the year, that is like $420, which is a lot of money. So I am glad that I went through and canceled those subscriptions, because subscription culture is getting literally out of control. It needs to be stopped. But the 2 that I have that I kept that are coming out this pay period is my Hulu subscription, and that is $7.99, and then my Oura Ring subscription, and that is $6.35. So total for that is $14.34. And then I also usually get cat litter and cat food auto delivered through Amazon. So every 2 weeks I get cat litter delivered, and that is going to be coming out during this pay period, and that is $31.50 for 2 things of litter. I love my cats, so I'm gonna spend money on them. But cats are pretty simple. I feel like they're not as expensive as dogs, really, and like they tend to have to go to the vet less. So yeah, this is just the price I pay for having my 2 little babies. I also will have to pay my car insurance, which I should probably look into getting different car insurance, because I feel like mine is very expensive. Like, my car's about a year old, so it is a new car, and I do drive a lot for work. So I feel like those both play a factor in this. I do wish that it was lower, because I feel like I spend a lot of money on car insurance, but it did come in handy when I hit the deer, because they covered my car rental and part of the repairs. So my car insurance is $169.44 a month, which hurts, but again, it is a necessary thing to have. Lastly is my credit card. So that is the big push right now, is to get those paid off as quickly as I can. So Literally anything that I can put towards that, I will. I was able to budget $900 to put towards my credit cards, which is insane, but also super helpful. I felt good, and it felt like I was making like a pretty big dent in paying off my credit cards, so it did feel really good to be able to put that much money towards it. It just, on the other side, it's like, it's just shocking, and then you start to think like, oh my god, like I could do so much more with that money if I wasn't stupid and like had made poor decisions in the past and put all this money on my credit card. But I just keep telling myself, like I said, I planned everything out, budgeted. Looks like I will have everything paid off by November, so I just keep telling myself like August, September, October, like 3 months of hard work and budgeting and paying off those cards, and then I will have $900 extra a month, or a paycheck, to do whatever I want with, to save a ton for the house, to pay off my car, treat myself to something if I want. I just like to invest more, put more into my Roth IRA. It just opens up so many more opportunities for me with my money. But I just have to push through till November. I'm pretty sure it's like November 1st, and then we'll be free. I can do whatever I want. Well, not whatever I want, but I'll be in a better place and feel better like mentally around money and like where I'm at. I talked about this on some of my other videos, I think, and especially on other platforms, but the main real push for this is that I want to go part-time, which, I mean, I technically, in November, once I pay everything off, I do want to go to 4 days a week, which I guess is still technically full-time, but not 5 days a week for me, so that's part-time. And I'll at least have an extra day to do whatever I want, pursue my other passions. Obviously, that will take away from some of my money, but if I'm not paying $900 per week or per paycheck to my credit card, then there's no need for me to have all this extra money. I'd rather have my mental health, because I do also drive an hour to work. I have an hour commute one way and then an hour back, and it is exhausting. It's horrible. There's just a lot in the works, I think. And like, I do think in a year my whole situation's gonna be different, because I don't necessarily plan on staying where I'm at, but it's not guaranteed that I will get this new job at this new facility that's opening up. So in a year, I'm either going to be working at a different place that's a lot closer, like literally 10 minutes away, or I'll be working part-time where I'm at. But like, I don't know, there's just so many things up in the air. But all I know is that I cannot continue to work 5 days a week where I'm at, because it's just, the drive is so long for what I'm doing, and honestly for the environment that I'm working in, and also and my own sake of like sanity, it's not worth it. So anyway, again, I tend to go on these little rants at the end here, but let's wrap it up. So if you add all of those expenses together, it comes to $1,991. So then what I'll do there is subtract that from the income that I mentioned in the beginning, and that will leave me with $383 for the next 2 weeks. Typically that is around the amount that I like to leave myself. I feel like it's a generally good number. It helps to keep me in a budget where I have a little bit of money to buy something if I want to. Like, I think it's a good thing not to be like too strict with yourself, especially in these situations, or especially as someone who has like a spending, or previously had a spending problem, or impulse spender like myself. Leaving yourself with a little bit of money is what is going to, well, at least it's been working for me, allows me to like get a coffee and not feel guilty about it, and also get a coffee and not put it on the credit card. Like, it leaves me with money to satisfy my need to get a little treat or spend a small amount of money, but it also limits me from having like a ton of extra money that I can like buy something that I shouldn't buy. Like, this really isn't enough to buy clothes, which that used to be the problem. I would buy a ton of clothes and clothes are so expensive, like it's insane. So this leaves me with enough to get some stuff that I want, but also not overspend, because I've really been trying to stick to the mindset of this is the only amount of money that you're allowed to spend in these 2 weeks. Like, you're not allowed to put anything on the credit card. I do sometimes use my credit card, but treat it kind of like a debit card, because then I'll just pay it off. But I'm really just doing that for the points. Like, if I need to get gas, I'll put it on my credit card so I can pay it off. I typically try to tell myself, like, no, like this $383 is your budget for the next 2 weeks. You're not spending anything more than that. And that has been working. It's definitely hard, but it's been working, and that's what's keeping me on track and keeping me on the projected goal of paying off my cards by November 1st. So I will also mention this $383 includes all my gas money. So typically what I'll do is budget around $160 for the 2 weeks, because again, I do drive a lot for work. Then I separate it into that. So I separate it into like $160 for gas, and then it would leave me with about $223 for anything else that might come up. So when I look at it that way, it also helps, because I keep those separate, where I'm like, okay, I'm allowed to spend this much on gas, this much on coffee, dinner, whatever, like snacks. We usually eat out like once a week or something. So it just helps keep me very, very aware of like what kind of money I'm working with, what my situation is. And then I also track that using an app. I use the app Spend Notes. So anytime I spend money, anytime I swipe my card, whatever, I just input it into there so I can keep track. And then I also have a budget template that I use on like Google Sheets. So I'll add everything into that as well. And it just helps keep everything kind of organized and all in one spot. But yeah. Anyway, that is pretty much my paycheck for this pay period. I think the last thing is I just want to start mentioning kind of what my current debt situation looks like, so that I can show you guys my progress every time I make these large debt payments. So I have 2 credit cards that had a balance on them. My one was the Chase credit card, and that one I use for a lot of my daily expenses, but it did get a little bit out of control, especially with the wedding expenses that were happening in like June. So that one had gotten kind of up there. That one does have an interest rate, so that's why I put this whole $900 that I had budgeted, I put towards this card, because if you pay off the statement balance by the next like statement date, you don't get any new interest. That is how you avoid the interest. So that's why I put the $900 towards this card, so that I will pay off the statement balance before the date and I won't have any interest on that card. Also, it was the lower balance of the two, so then if you are implementing the like debt snowball method, you'll pay that card off and then move on to the next one. So it just feels good and like satisfying when you pay off one. So that card is now at $700, so I should have that one paid off by my next paycheck, which is super exciting. And also I won't get any new interest on that card either. Honestly, I haven't paid interest on a credit card in months. It's been months, which is pretty good. My other credit card is a Bank of America balance transfer card. So if you haven't ever heard of a balance transfer card, it is one that you do have to open a new account, or you can look through deals on a current card that you have, but you transfer your balance from another card onto this one at a 0% interest rate for usually, I think mine was 18 months. It can vary a little bit, but I think mine was 18 months, and then you pay off that balance. You pay a one-time like transfer fee, and then you pay off that balance before interest starts to accrue again, is the goal. So on that card, I owe $5,800, which I know is a lot. It is a lot. I'm someone who learned from my mistakes here. There's no judgment. There's no bullying about having credit card debt on my channel. So Obviously, I know that that is not a great number to see. Obviously, I don't enjoy seeing that number. Sticking to the plan, if I stick to my budget, if nothing crazy happens within the next few months, I will have all of that paid off by November 1st. So stick with me to see if I accomplish that goal. Every 2 weeks, I will do a how I budget my paycheck video. I enjoy making these. I enjoy talking about my finances. I find these really fun to make, and they also help me stick to my goals. Every 2 weeks, we'll check in, see how I'm doing to reach my goal. My overall debt is sitting at $6,500. This is just credit cards. The only other debt I have is my car loan. So stick with me to see how quickly I can pay this off. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.